I want to show you guys the new neck gaiter, and I'm going to open it for you guys. Look at that. Look at that. It's nice. It's my signature right there. It wasn't designed by me at all. I had nothing to do with this. The company that's behind this believe in my vision and design some things, and this is one of the things they designed. It's very great material. I mean, it's really good material. Made in USA. Welcome to season 5, third episode of the Carl Jackson podcast. Tonight, my guest is Lamont Coleman. Lamont Coleman is a music producer that I've known for years. I did his first music video. I directed his first music video years ago. We'll probably talk about that in a second. But yeah, we recorded this in my office. Lamont Coleman, let's get right into it. Welcome to the Carl Jackson podcast. I am excited and delighted that you guys are with us today. Today we have a special guest. And I'm not even gonna go into how I know him. We're gonna talk about it in the interview. All I know is he's legendary producer, writer. He's the man, and we'll talk a little bit how we met. Mr. Lamont Coleman.
What up, y'all? What's good, Carl? Man, thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Lamont Coleman. So Lamont and I go back a ways. What do you remember about our relationship?
Man, I remember thinking, this dude probably could be like my older cousin, and he's like killing this video, man. Like this dude is like, he just knows how to direct this video. Like you directed my first video. So right. I was just like shocked at how like cool and young you was, but like just like relatable. You know what I mean? Like, right. Like you was the first like video guy that I met that I was like, this dude, like if that was my passion, I would believe I could do it because of this guy. Because he's just young and kill, and you just knew what you was doing. It wasn't like he was like stressing. Like a couple things happened. I remember like he was like, "Hey, we're gonna have to push it back a little bit because of this, and it was just like regular stuff that happens. Like, you know, I'm in the studio all the time. Like, hey man, the computer's messed up. We gotta restart. Like stuff happens, and you was just so cool about it. I was like, man, this dude knows his stuff, man.
Wow, man, that's cool, man. I appreciate it. I remember what I remember about you was out of all of your team, you were the only one that I remember that was so passionate about producing. I mean, like that's all you talked about.
Yeah, that's all I cared about.
After we did that video, I remember you would call me or I would call you. We talked a lot at that time, and I couldn't talk about anything else with you. It was only music, and it was like, dude, what is this dude? Like, what the flip, man?
Yeah.
It shows how, it shows how when you're passionate about something, how it just you live it, you project it. I mean, you call to your life what you're living right now because of your projection.
Yeah. And it's, you know, it just guy who I consider a mentor. I didn't know him like personally like that, but I used to like study his books and stuff all the time. Mike Murdoch.
Oh yeah.
They turned him into a televangelist a little bit, man. I hate that because I felt like he was always more than just raising money. But anyway, I like his books and stuff, which don't really talk about it that way. But the quote that he said that really helped me, he said, you will only have success in your dominant obsession. When it's your dominant obsession, you will have success. And I just remember being like, okay, well, what do I really care about?
Right.
I care about music, you know, making it, learning about it, and I care about people and God. And it's just kind of still the same.
But how did you get so focused so young? Because you was young, man. Like you said, I was a little older than you. So you were young. I think you were still a teenager. Or you were like late teens or early 20s.
Yeah, I think I was 18, 19.
Yeah.
19.
So like, how did you was focused then? Like, so what made you so focused then?
You know what? I really don't know. I just think it was like the Lord just had his hand on my life, you know, like, and like my parents tell different stories about how they felt like God was going to take me for his and use him for his service. Like my mother said she heard God in an audible voice say, "I'm gonna take your son," and she scared thought I was going to die. And I was in high school, and she was like, "Oh man," you know what I mean? And then I was like another minister or whatever where she worked at, and when she went to him and said like, it's like I don't get all into the story, but when I decided to give my life to Christ, and I didn't know how to tell my mom, but I really didn't care what they thought, and I'm still like that. Like this, what I believe, I can stand alone easy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I went and I was like, I don't know how to tell you this, but I kind of want to, I want to get baptized. I've been talking to this girl. She's been reading the Bible to me. I like her and the Bible.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And my mom was like, I already know. God already told me. And I just felt like that was something that was kind of like, oh. And then the way everything took off, I feel like God showed me a lot of like his presence. He showed me a lot of like little things, like they say the devil's in the details, but God made everything. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. You know what I mean? And I ain't trying to turn into that, but they say the pure in heart see God. Right. Everybody think that's talking about when you die. I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, okay, if your heart is pure, of course you're gonna go be with the Lord. But I think it's talking about right now. You know what I mean? And I think not that my heart was just I'm pure, not like that. But you know what I mean? I think that it was just I just saw God all the time, man. I just wanted to just soak it up because I'm just an obsessive person like that. So books, information, going to church, and then it was like it really like I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. It's not really a lot to do. You know what I mean? Like there, especially like creatively. That's something that I think is growing now where it's more creative people and, people like me that are coming out of the city and being successful. But I'm very much a product of that city. And I just, with nothing to do but really just get into God and church.
So explain to me, how did you get started and what was your path that led you to feel comfortable working for God, even in the secular industry, the music industry?
That's like a two-part. That's a good question. Yeah, you kind of got me there. Okay, so
I stumped you.
How did I get comfortable working for God? I'm gonna start with the second half. Okay. What was? Tell me the question one more time.
In a nutshell, I'm just saying. So, how do you balance it? Because a lot of times people feel like you can't work in the secular. Well, you and I probably was raised where you don't work in the secular industry. You only work for God, only do gospel. But I've worked in the industry, period, like gospel and secular. And my argument was always when I worked at CVS, it wasn't CVS at the time, but it was called Eckert's, but that's years ago. But when I was working there, I was like, I'm selling cigarettes and condoms to teenagers at the cash register. So what's the difference? I could never understand that. How is that okay as a Christian, but I can't produce a secular music video? It never made sense to me. So that's what I mean. Like, how do you balance it with the information of, okay, I believe in God, I believe in Christianity and church, but I'm also going to work on in the secular music industry, which is what you're pretty much known for.
Yeah. All right. So that's a great question. Thank you for reframing it for me.
Yeah.
So this is just being like full disclosure and vulnerable. I actually view myself like 007 or something. You know what I mean? Like I actually think that the light is most needed in the darkness. You know what I mean? You don't need, if it's a room full of light, why are you going to put one more light in there? You know what I mean? Like, so, and I also think that comes with like character and testing and being developed. Like you got to be strong enough to know, to be who you are for God, like integrity, like you just that person, but now you that person over here. That person ain't perfect. I've cursed in church and not even meaning to. Like, oh, stop. Oh, sorry. But I do it in the car too. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I ain't changing who I am for y'all. I'm gonna try more to like button up more, but I'm still the same dude with the same issues. So I kind of viewed it that way. Like I got this special thing. I love God. I love music. I love people. I'm gonna mix them up, and I'm gonna go out here in the world and be effective, and not just sitting in the church. And also, the church, God kept closing like doors for me. So you know how passionate I was with music.
I remember.
Nobody in church took my beats, bro. I had a couple groups that the people that, you know, like, because we toured up crazy. We seen everybody.
I remember.
I'm like, yo, I got tracks. I ain't scared. You either say yes or no. Yes,
Right.
it's good. No means do better. You know what I mean? Nothing. And then finally, when I got frustrated, praying, getting frustrated, my piano hit a little note, man. When I got frustrated, Carl.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Great score.
Hey man, that's what I do, baby. Let's go, bro. No, so then I met Wyclef's R&B group on the airplane, and they just embraced me, like yo man, like they was young and cool, and like, oh man, you got tracks? Oh man, here we switched CDs on the plane, listened to each other. He was like, man, I need number 13 and number such and such. I said, cool, man, I'll make that right now for you. As soon as I get back to the studio, and it was like immediate, like. And then I got my platinum record the first year in New York. It ain't even a whole lot of gospel people going platinum, especially not at that time. So,
no, not at that time.
And bro, that's been like a little bit of the story in my life where I would experience rejection in an area that I thought I wanted, and then God give me something better.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I had people calling me like, no, I love the ministry and the effectiveness and what we did as a group. You know what I'm saying? So when I say better, it's subjective, because I definitely made way more money in the world, but also it's positive records. I ain't got like crazy dirty songs.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like do all that. And even if I did, I would still be having a crazy charity to balance it out or something. You know what I mean? That's why I don't judge people, because you never know.
Right.
So doors closed, but then God opened a lot of other doors that made me feel like, okay, this is the path. It's like it's Black History Month, man. But so Martin Luther King, you know, take the first step. You ain't got to see the whole staircase, but you got to walk by faith and not by sight.
Man, that's powerful. I love what you said when you said your light is most effective in darkness. And I think we missed that. We missed that because we're so busy trying to fit into really a country club idea of Christianity, as opposed to really being the Godplex in the world, because that's what the world needs. The world needs more of that. You just can't. But no, I disagree with that. So talk to me about when did you know you had made it, if you want to call it that? What was the first song that made you go, okay, I'm here? Oh, that's the first song.
I don't know, man. I ain't made it yet, man. My phone's still falling. I'm still working, bro.
You need to leave T-Mobile alone, brother. Get with Verizon. Verizon is the BMW of phones.
we go do. I can just hold it. So I think the first time it's layers. It's layers to it. Like I don't feel like I made it now. You know,
I feel the same way. Yeah. Because
like
you're
in the
still
church,
building.
they call it glory to glory.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then, you know, in the streets, it's just levels. There's just levels to it. You
but
know?
when did you sense that you was getting the attention? That'd be a better word.
Oh, definitely when I moved from Indiana to New York, you know what I mean? And I got my first platinum record there, Wyclef, Akon, and Lil Wayne, song called Sweetest Girl.
I remember
and my phone was blowing up. Like people were like, hey man, I heard this, man. Hey, I seen your name on these credits, bro. Or just I'm like, okay, like people like checking for you. And also what I realized too, a lot of people just believe in you anyway. Like a lot of like when things don't happen in the timeline we want, like we can be bitter or we can be better. You know, but we can't be both at the same time. I always was just trying to be better. So I wasn't thinking about bitter, but then I came out and saw like all the like love and support I had from people that always thought I was dope. So, and that let me know like, man, just stay at it, bro. You got to just stay at it.
You have to have it. How many tracks you probably have done now? 1,000, 2,000? Because I remember you used to send me tracks. You would send me a record a week. No, seriously, people. He would send me like a record a week. It felt like that because you wouldn't just send me like one track. You would send me like 10 tracks.
Just a CD with a bunch of
CD with a bunch of stuff on it. So how many tracks you think you got now?
Man, thousands.
Right, it has to be.
I'll say it this way: when I signed to Clef, they made me play a whole lot of beats. I still got that CD player. It was over 300 beats.
Oh wow!
It was over 300 that I played. Like we spent all day listening to pieces of tracks, and I thought like like my brain is different now. Now I know, like, if you listen to 300 tracks, then you got time, and you're interested. You like my work.
Oh,
At
yeah.
that time, I thought like, oh man, I keep failing. I failed 267 times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
I'm like,
right.
I'm on my last CD, bro. Like,
But what he was trying to see was your work ethic.
yeah, he was listening to the work.
He was trying to see what's your work ethic, what's your sound, what's your vibe.
Because when he signed me, we did all genres together.
Right.
English, Spanish, film scores, everything. It didn't matter. They come through. You ain't got to know the language. There's the interpreter there, or the other person knows the language. You got to hear the melodies. Melodies king. You got to make that beat tight. That bass better be in there, right? You know what I mean? Those chords, like, keep it moving, make it feel good. It don't matter the genre.
What was the biggest lesson you learned being in Wyclif's camp?
Oh man.
I know you learned a lot of them, but what was
the first thing that came to me was humility and work ethic. Like, I felt like he's nice to everybody, man. Like, I would be shocked. Like, he'd be like, let's go to the store, and I'm used to them like kind of moving around with people, and then he would just be walking up the street, just me and like, I might think I'm a ninja, but I ain't no bodyguard. You know what I mean? So I was like, bro, you gonna get trampled. You know what I mean? And people would still come up to him, of course, everywhere, but he was cool and respectful and nice to everybody, no matter what. You know what I mean? And then work hard, man. Like, I was like young, man. Like, what, 20 something when I signed it? Like, dude, I couldn't keep up sometimes with the work ethic. And
wow.
Like, so that let me know, like, man, you think you in the studio all day, but it's a difference between being in there all day and getting a lot done.
Ooh,
that dude got a lot done.
Yeah, in other words, knowing how to work when you in the studio.
Yeah,
is what you learn.
Not just smoking 1,000 blunts on the couch and taking down 2 fists and smashing one of the little groupies that want to come around and say you want to be a singer. Like, it's more than that. Like, you better be in there pressing them buttons.
But it's that too. No, I was kidding. I was kidding. Real life.
It just is what it is. Like, it's just part of the piece. You know what I mean? So it ain't got to be like something that we personally self-indulge in.
Right.
I always took sand to the beach, so it was cool. I always been in a relationship in the studio.
Right.
Oh no, I got a girlfriend.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about, because we have very little time with you, because I know you have a busy schedule. So let me ask you something. Let's talk a little bit about, let's pivot. You've done a lot of R&B, you've done a lot of gospel, but what made you decide to completely leave New York and cut to now you're in Nashville doing country music? Yeah. I'm like, what the flip?
It sounds crazy, but if you spend time with me in New York, it wouldn't be as crazy as it seemed. So, like, man, I think the more I fell in love with songwriting and song structure and musicianship, you know what I mean? Stuff that I learned from Wyclef, going back to that, I wanted, like, country music just really, really appealed to me. Like, the stories, like the quality of the structures.
Very ridiculous.
It's lyrics.
Yeah.
Like it ain't all mumbles, you know what I mean? Like, it's lyrical quality there. And I really just start liking it a whole lot. I just listen to it in the studio all the time. You know what I mean? And I grew up growing up, my family listened to everything too. So it wasn't like foreign. You know, I'm from Indiana, you know what I mean? And I feel like I had a level of success in hip hop and in pop and in Latin. And I'm like, well, I want to branch out and kind of do some other stuff. And I want to learn more too. I want to be challenged as a musician. I know everybody there play whatever instruments I play better. That's fine. You know what I mean? So I just moved to Nashville, man, and decided to just come down here and learn. And it's a music education company that I work with called Musology, and they teach music and math. So together. So I came for that, you know what I mean? Which felt purposeful, and also, just wanting to expand my discography and just learn.
Nashville is a beautiful place.
I love it.
I bet you love it.
I'm gonna get married and have babies and houses and do all the American dream here.
I've been actually looking at Nashville myself, just even if it's a second place. But I've been looking at Nashville because it seems like it's a very rich town for ideas. You can be inspired. That's what it feels like. But I don't know. I could be wrong.
No, you ain't wrong at all. Very much so. And also, man, it's a lot with film coming up here too.
I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
I know
it's been talks of some big companies building music like film studios here.
And it makes sense because of the country music industry there.
Yeah,
it makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about the album. Talk to us a little bit about your new album. Is it country, and what is it all about?
Well, everything I do is definitely like, kind of got an inspirational or inspired element to it.
Right.
But I'm definitely dropping some country records right now. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I got over an album's worth of material. I'm just like narrowing down, and
you start
overthinking and stuff too.
You singing on it too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know you met me as a rapper, which is crazy. But
I met you as a rapper.
Sing, man. Like all my friends sing. So after doing like artist development for so long and like, hey, like, sing it this way, do it this way, I start realizing like, oh shoot, I can hold a note. And then in the pandemic, nobody wanted to come around and do demos right away. Everybody was, they're scared of the dramatic flu. So we're just gonna call it that so it don't get censored. You know what I mean?
Right.
But so it was like, well, I'm just about to do these records myself because I hear them. You know what I mean? I'm sitting at the piano. I'm like, yo, I need to go. You know what I mean? So within that, I look up and I talk to like some of my engineer homies. And I'm like, yo, he's like, what you been up to? I'm like, listen to this. And he's like, that's crazy. Who's that? I'm like, that's me. He's like, dude, send it to me right now. I'm gonna mix it. You better put it out. I'm like, all right, I'll put it out, bro.
You gotta send me some MP3s, brother.
Yeah, I send you some records. And then it was crazy. So you do like commercial records, or you writing for like whatever you feel like. I'm in the industry, so I'm obviously slightly tainted with my creative process because I've had hits on the radio. So I'm listening to the format. But then sometimes you like, I'm gonna just do whatever I feel because it's therapy music. It's music for commercial consumption. Then you got your just therapy music. You know what I mean? Like even in the scriptures, like King David played the harp. That might not have been on radio smash. We don't know what that sounds like, but it chased demons away. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Demons off of kings specifically. So you got that kind of music too. So I make that as well. You know what's funny, dude? I talked to Rudy today from the Riders Specialist from the Riders today.
Yeah.
He's asking me what I was doing, and he's like, man, send me something. And I sent it to him. He's like, dude, this is beautiful, man. That's crazy. He was like, man, you got to put this out. He was like, but if Chris Stapleton wanted to do it, that'd be tight too. And I'm like, if Chris Stapleton wanted to do it, y'all would never hear it. For me, y'all hear from him.
Well, I'm sure you fixing to have some hits on his next album and some other country singers down there because you just a bad boy.
Hey man, I appreciate you for believing me, man, for probably 2 decades now.
2 decades, yeah, at least 2 decades.
Yes, you know what I mean? But Lord willing, like whatever it is, whatever Lord's will, I'm just gonna keep pushing.
Can you play something on the piano?
These is really my hands.
Oh, I know you can play.
It's a song I'm writing. I would do the lyrics to it, but I ain't got them all yet.
That music is crazy. Wow. That's
vibe, bro.
That's a vibe. That's a vibe.
Social justice record, so it's like it's going there. Them take time because it's like I don't want to be sad while I'm writing this.
So when you write lyrics, how do you? That's a good question. So when you write lyrics, what are you feeling? Are you feeling a certain kind of way, or do you just kind of turn it on and write it, or does it just come? Because for me, my idea is just I can be eating a club sandwich and then all of a sudden I have to stop eating.
I can be eating a turkey club with
right.
lettuce and tomato and mustard.
Exactly. And then it just bam, it hits me. And I have to stop what I'm doing and go write it down before I forget. And I get a lot of stuff like in the mornings when I wake up, I can see whole movies or hear whole songs. It's crazy.
That's
like
awesome.
I literally have to write the whole movie down and I literally know all the scenes and the whole bit. So like, how does it work for you?
That's a bird in the bear, man. It's like a whole movie. Like I know that feeling too. It come in different ways for me. Like it's no, like at least 5 or 6 different ways. Sometimes I'll hear a chorus, like a whole chorus with the harmonies and everything, and some of the chords, but not all of them. And I gotta like get up out the bed and be like, nights like this, I wish. You know what I mean?
Right.
Try to figure it out. And then sometimes it's just a concept where, like I did this record, like my boat, and I was thinking about like how I give you like every piece of me. You can have whatever you want, but you can't drive my boat. You know what I mean? And it's just petty, possessive materialism stuff. You know what I mean? And I just thought it was just fun and humorous. So, you know, it just comes in so many different ways. Like on a film level, man, I was watching somebody on Instagram do some crazy like sword work. And I promise I was looking and I just didn't even see my phone no more, bro. It was just like I was watching a movie on like one of those little old school. Do you remember the little?
Right.
It's almost like I was just like right then. I was like, whoa! I just like seen it all. You know what I mean? And each character had like their own film score. And like I was just like, yo, man, this is like I gotta write this. This is an overload. It took my whole day just trying to unpack everything that came in that like quick second.
Wow.
So I'm like, man, it's definitely a spirit of creativity. Like God, like give it to you, and it's up to us to be good stewards.
Right. And good stewards means basically making great choices in your lyrics, your writing, your melodies, your arrangements. Talk a little bit about your process with doing country music. So what is your process with that? Because that's like you said, song structure, lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
How do you? Is it a different process than doing like hip hop or rap or R&B?
No, and yeah, it's a different process as far as like the Nashville country music community. Like it's like writing sessions, and it's not always like in the studio loud, it bangs out. Sometimes it's just in like a little office looking room with guitars, and you know what I mean, or maybe a real piano, and just like you write the song and then it had to be produced later, which for me is like that's like wasting a whole day sometimes, like from where I come from, because it's like, let's get in the studio right now, and as we write it, we'll make it, or I can play you tracks that we can build and manipulate into it. You know what I mean? But it's no right or wrong way. But I find in general the country music community writes very differently than the hip hop and pop world, R&B that I'm used to, and I enjoy that.
And it probably also explains why the textures are a little bit thicker and richer, because that maybe that extra day gives it that oomph that it needs to simmer before they go in the studio.
Yeah, it's like how do you? It's because it's timeless music. Like how do you like limit eternity? Like this song is going to echo throughout time forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just because you did it in 10 minutes, that don't mean that you birthed it in the spirit of greatness. It ain't about speed. It's about like efficiency.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
To go back to the steward thing though,
Yeah.
like being a good steward, I love what you said too about just like creating it with that type of intensity and care.
Right.
For me, I found being a good steward is conquering the spirit of fear. And fear manifests itself in many deceptive ways. Like I ain't scared to sit down and write, but I might not be sure that this is my best version. So I'm going to procrastinate and not ever let you hear it. And then the sound of music's going to change 4 times over time. Naturally, as seasons change, leaves fall and die and turn into other things.
Right.
And I never birth it and never share my gift. The gift is meant to be given. So
that's beautiful.
Being a good steward for me is like being like, stop being a little punk, put it out.
So as we wrap this up, let me ask you this: how do you? I've been looking at your Instagram at least once or twice a week, and you do a lot of motivational speaking. So, what made you so positive, and you share so much of that on your page? It seems like it's a whole separate thing that you do. Clearly, you are very centered, and you are working on yourself constantly. It's obvious. But talk a little bit about what that means to you to promote that out there so much on your Instagram, because that's all you promote.
Yeah, it's just purposeful, man. Like for me, I share a lot of the information that I like to consume, And I usually, like in the past, before I was on like social media or whatever, that would just be the types of things that I would like to digest as I'm constantly working on becoming a better version of myself, you know, trying to confront my strengths and maximize them and be honest and vulnerable about my weaknesses and improve on that. And I found that when I have conversations in person with people about it, they really enjoy it. And I just was like, let me just start sharing it online and see. And the feedback that I get, it really let me know that that's the path. Like it's who I am, regardless whether people want to enjoy that piece of me or not. So if I share who I am authentically and it works, then it's really easy to keep doing. You know what I mean? Right. It ain't like wearing a mask and you got to pretend. It's like, you're going to get this work regardless, or don't look.
Right. Yeah. Don't even come on my page. Right.
Yeah. So I found that like just building myself and just, you know, like God give you the gifts, but you know, you still got to work the land. You still got to put the work in. And man, I find with Christians, right, we believe in the supernatural. We believe in the super, easy. But the natural is the mental health. You prophet, but you ain't got the mental health. You a crazy ass prophet. Excuse my language. But you see what I'm saying? You gotta have a balance. So
yes, sir.
That's important for me, is to keep like building naturally. You know what I mean? Like making sure I take care of myself, mind, body, and soul, as well as, you know, just growing my spirit and believing in God to do amazing supernatural things.
In other words, what people try to treat God like he's almost like a bewitched, the genie. Hey, I said a prayer. Now it's going to happen any day. He's just going to blink and give it to me. And you're saying he only blinks when you're putting in the work.
I can't necessarily say that, because sometimes God just put the grace on you, just drop stuff down on you. You be like, I ain't deserve this. I don't deserve none of this. Okay. But I am saying that you got to definitely put in the work as well.
But even with the blessing, I'll put it this way, I'll speak for me. Even with the blessing, you still got to maintain.
Mm-hmm. And put in the work. Faith without works is dead.
Yep.
Yeah, and work just don't mean going out here and promoting. Like, you got to work on yourself. A lot of it is internally traveling first and building up here and working on our heart. Like it says in Proverbs 4, like keep your heart with all diligence, because out of all the issues of life flow out of your heart. But where are all the verses of how you work on your heart? Some of that is science. Some of that is your chemicals are off because you eat bad and you ain't exercising. So you got depressed chemicals, and then you trying to get out here and make your body move, get those endorphins so you can have a physical environment that's happy as well, and mix that with the spirit and become more unstoppable.
That's powerful.
That's what I feel like the church is missing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I ain't alone in it. That ain't my like secret revelation.
No, that's deep, because I mean, I talk about the church stuff all the time. I think it's how it's structured today is a joke, because all they do is they send people. It's almost like therapy. It's like cheap therapy. You go in there, you hear some music, you hear a great sermon. They take all your money out of your pocket, and then you go home the same. And church was not meant for that. God did not create spirituality for that. We're not here just to chase money. We're here to experience. And so when you send that message to people in church, what you're really ultimately saying is that God is a genie, and you give us the money, and then he gonna give you a miracle. And that's just not that's just some foolishness.
And even it's so real. And even then, it's like I had to I feel like the older I get, I'll try to like simplify like purpose. And I realize, especially with this pandemic, it's really helped. It's not so much of having things and stuff or even having people, but loving yourself, loving people when they disappoint you. You know what I mean? Just having the spirit of love, forgiveness, man. That's difficult. A lot of bitter people walking around here mad at somebody from the 2nd grade, 7th grade. Like, you don't let that go and fly high in the spirit of love, man.
Right. So he stole your lunch money. Get over it. Right.
Get over it. But cry a river, build a bridge, and get over it.
Right. Right. Forgiveness is powerful.
Yeah.
I had to learn that. That was a lesson I had to learn the hard way, but I finally learned it. That forgiveness, man, opens doors, man.
It makes you feel lighter, man, and forgiving yourself. I had to forgive myself for the quality of people I was picking and choosing to date and pour out my energy and gifts and talent and resources into. I was mad at them for not appreciating it until I realized you're picking the wrong people. That's not the wrong. I mean, yeah, you can do better. You can have a higher quality. So, and what you need to do is check yourself, to see why you willing to settle for this or for that. You know what I mean? Because it's temporal and it's eternal. You know what I mean? And what we really want is eternal happiness and love and fulfillment. And you can't get that just moving in a temporal mindset all the time. It don't work. One of these things is not like the other. You know what I mean? And that's like serious, hard conversation I had to have with myself. Like, oh shoot, you're immature here. So you can't even you don't know how to require maturity and healthiness in this area, specifically this. So grow your butt up on your own, bro, before you go trying to, I don't know how to love people right that way. You know what I mean? I had to like check myself.
You've had some mentors. I mean, I'm sure your parents were probably the first two, but you've had mentors that since you've been an adult, I could tell.
Oh yeah, bro. And then I got mentors. They don't know my mentors. I just consume all that information. Yeah, I was just listening to some podcasts today about forgiveness and stuff. I was actually listening to Oprah podcast about forgiveness. I know a lot of people in the church, they don't really like Oprah because they think that she thinks she's God, but that's not even what she says. But you know, I wouldn't consider her a mentor. That's just, I like how she has so many people who have conquered and learned so much, you know, within their self on her podcast, and they talk about it. And it's just, I really just like podcasts. I like listening to people talk about like their pain and their darkness and I like that stuff. It ain't all, I don't like all smiles and sunshine and rainbows. It start feeling real fake to me. Like I need somebody to be about to cry. Get sad,
nigga. I guess you still working it out through therapy right now. It's kidding.
Hey man,
you probably got a therapy session in about 2 more hours. No, I was kidding.
I'm 10 minutes late because of you, man. You know
I know exactly. So last question: how'd you get your hair so long? What made you start to grow it? I mean, you understand the spiritual side of it too, I'm sure.
I had a bald fade when we met.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. When did you start growing it? And it's been years because it's a long.
Yeah. Well, it's been 12 years since I've grown it, but I've cut 8 inches off twice.
Oh wow.
I had to. You get out the shower, put your drawers on, your hair all stuck in, and you're getting in the car and you don't jump in all the way. You shut the door. And then you try to lean and look in the back seat, your hair get caught. I was like, I ain't signing up for this, man. I ain't gonna be the dude version of Rapunzel out here. I went to the lady, I was like, chop this out. She was like, no, that's spiritual, that's yours. I said, listen, you can take this and sew it in somebody else's hair if they get in a fight and lose their hair or something. You can give it to them. She's like, you shouldn't give people your energy. This is trials and tribulations that I have survived. I'm a survivor here. This is the Destiny's Child of hair. You better take this.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, it's been just letting it grow, man.
What made you decide to grow it?
I had braids, and then it wasn't even no spiritual revelation. I ain't even gonna sit here and be like, man, you know what I mean? The aliens descended down and said, I'm gonna give you, you know, it wasn't nothing like that, man. Like I had braids, and I ain't want to cut them, and braids are out of style. And it was like, you got to either cut your hair or when I say out of style, I mean, like, it was just going out. It just wasn't the you know what I mean?
Right.
And
I got you.
Yeah. It's just like, nah. And then, I hated taking my hair down, man. I'm like, I'm real tender-headed all in the front. So taking it down, rebraiding it all the time. I was like, this is too much, man. So I just locked up, and it's been low maintenance. You really just wash it and get it retwisted. And then since I've been wearing hats, I've been
days with the twist.
I could be a little late on that payment.
How often do you have to twist the new growth?
It's supposed to be every 2 weeks.
Right.
Sometimes I go 3 weeks to a month. You know what I mean? Like you wash it in between then, but you don't have to retwist it. But then you got a whole lot of new growth. But it takes a while for my new growth to really catch anyway because of how my hair is.
Right.
So it take a while for it to like lock up. I always got like this much that ain't locked.
Right. Well, man, I appreciate you doing the podcast, brother. This has been an amazing conversation with you.
Hey, bro, it's good vibes, man.
Great vibes. I love vibes. Great catching up with you. Guys, we haven't even seen each other. Literally haven't seen each other in probably 20 years. This is our first time seeing each other. So that's
you just asking me all the questions. I ain't even get to ask you none, man. I want to know more about the network. We have to do part two.
I'll do it on your podcast. I'll be a guest on your podcast.
All right, let's work that out. I'm gonna get something to hold my phone before I do mine, though.
Yeah, man. So, man, thank you, man. Lamont Coleman. This is the Carl Jackson Podcast. We out. Thank you for watching tonight. The Carl Jackson Podcast, Season 5. Until next time, you have a blessed one.